will be fearless and fight on because we are fighting a righteous and a noble cause. I'm not afraid of no president. Donald Trump, we're ready for you. We're coming for you. We're standing up for you. We're fighting on. We're not going down silent. Victory, my friends, is clear. It's now. And I'm not waiting 4 years. I'm waiting 2 until a speaker by the name of Hakeem Jeffries comes to bring us some rest. Come on, ladies. It's up to us. We saved this democracy before. We'll save it now. Let's go.
What are you thinking about?
So during the Las Vegas shooting, Stephen Paddock supposedly expended over 3,000 rounds of ammunition over the course of 10 minutes from 27 AR-15s, each equipped with bump stocks. But that would have required him to drop a gun for another after each 30-round mag was empty and then reload each of the 27 ARs at least 4 times over. That's even despite the fact videos from survivors show a non-stop stream of bullets at a fire rate much higher than that of a bump stock AR-15 and resembling more of a fire rate similar to that of an M240 light machine gun. And investigative photos of Paddock's hotel room where he shot from only show 50 spent shells. And what about once when the FBI took over the investigation, Paddock's house somehow burnt down and destroyed all the evidence, and years later America's mass shooting is still ruled to have no motive. And even after Paddock's brother went on air claiming nothing made sense, the following day he was arrested for possessing several hundred terabytes of child porn on a 20-year-old computer running on Windows 95. It all doesn't make any sense. And this is according to the FBI?
Nothing. Nothing.
If you can't admire Joe Biden as a person, then it's probably you got a problem. You need to do some self-evaluation. Because what's not to like?
What an asshole!
You don't have to go to hell. You're in hell. This is hell. This is hell. This is hell.
Because democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
Then strangled them, and finally dismembered their bodies.
Right.
Then do and homelessness and all that. And now, the voice you've been waiting for.
There is a secret song at the center of the world, and its sound is like razors through flesh. I'm here to turn up the volume.
Everybody knows you never go full retard.
Sometimes when a story breaks, my initial gut reaction ends up being not so accurate, and I have no problem with that. As I've said, I don't have crystal balls, I have plastic balls. And so when I first heard about the story of Maryland man mistakenly deported, my initial reaction,
Mother of God, I thought. Here it comes.
Made me end up not even mentioning it until now because I figured there was gonna be a new one of these every fucking day. They would want to highlight every single mistake that ICE makes, but that didn't happen. They just seized on this one story and just continue to harp on it endlessly. But now I'm thinking, wow, is this the best example you could dig up of injustice? And it gets reported everywhere that the government has accused him of being an MS-13 member. Well, no, it was actually a confidential informant, a snitch, who not only said that he was a member, but a high-ranking member, a shot caller. Which would go a long way to explain why he's not tatted from head to toe like the street-level soldiers. But sure, maybe the confidential informant was lying about him for no reason. Maybe the tattoos he's got are just a coincidence. And maybe the domestic abuse charges and the restraining order his wife filed for 4 years ago are just a total misunderstanding. When I woke up Friday, I turned on Good Morning America and they had Michael Strahan interviewing his wife via Skype. And what kind of blew me away was at the very end of the interview, he actually did ask her about it, and her answer was nothing short of
amazingly bad.
I have to ask it. You did take out a temporary order of protection against your husband in 2021. Were you in fear of your husband?
My husband is alive. That's all I can say.
Okay, and you know I'm not going to push on that, apparently. But
No, I'm not going to push on that, apparently, because that's what I'm being told in my earpiece. And this was her opportunity to clear things up and go, oh no, it was just a big misunderstanding, yada yada yada. But her answer is, long awkward pause, my husband is alive and that's all I can say. And every day later on in the day, GMA posts their individual segments onto their YouTube channel, but this one just so happened to not get uploaded.
What a coincidence!
And like I said, look, maybe all this was just a big mistake. But regardless, he still did come here fucking illegally. Just because you got away with it for years doesn't change that fact. And all these people crying and butthurt, well, they would do well to understand that for years you had people flooding across the border and nobody doing shit about it, and everybody just wanting to pretend like it wasn't happening and it wasn't a problem. And then it became such a fucking problem that Trump gets reelected on the promise of the biggest deportation in American history. So I'd say putting the blame on the people that got us to this point would be a little more in order. And another story that I initially didn't bother to mention or talk about was this Austin Metcalf kid getting stabbed to death at a track meet in Texas. This happened back on April 2nd, but last week the family of the kid who stabbed him to death decided they were going to hold a press conference.
Why would you do that?
And at first I just saw a couple of short clips of this on Twitter and I thought, holy shit, is this the kid's attorney? Because this guy is Jasmine Crockett level stupid. But then I started watching the entire 30-minute press conference and it quickly became clear exactly who he was, mostly because he spared no opportunity to mention it.
I serve as the president of the Next Generation Action Network. Next Generation Action Network. The Next Generation Action Network has been here. The Next Generation Action Network. 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 At the Next Generation Action Network. The Next Generation Action Network. The Next Generation Action Network. The Next Generation Action Network.
And this group, which I'd never heard before, apparently goes all the way back to 2014. I guess sort of a Kmart GoBots version of BLM. But anyway, the father of the kid who got stabbed to death actually showed up to this press conference and they called the police and had him removed before they would start. So of course he began by talking about how awful and disrespectful it was for his dad to show up.
And all I'm going to say, so it don't be asked later, is that was disrespectful and just shows you all the character who is not invited. He knows that it's inappropriate to be near this family. But he did it. And so I say to people, actions speak louder than words.
So you're saying his dad was wrong and it was disrespectful to come to a place that he wasn't invited to.
Oh, the irony!
Very interesting, because from what's known about this story based on the police reports, is that's exactly what Carmelo Anthony did. Came and sat under a tent that was not his and he was not invited to and refused to leave. And so then this kid shoves him out of the tent and he pulls out a knife, stabs him in the chest, runs off, tosses the knife, and is now saying, oh, it was self-defense. But I digress. He also wanted to take this opportunity to dispel the rumors that they're using the Give, Send, Go funds that they've accumulated to buy a new house and an Escalade, as people have been erroneously reporting online. And both the spokesman and the mother, when she gets up and talks, refute this with the same exact claim that, oh, that's ridiculous because we just got access to those funds.
That takes about 2 to 3 days to withdraw from that and actually hit any account.
Mind you, they didn't say, we haven't moved into a nicer house, or this was already something that was in the works. It's just, no, it's because we haven't gotten access to that particular money yet. And then they went on to cry and moan about how the family is getting treated not so nicely.
Sent objects delivered to their door, publicly harassed, online and in person. This is not just about Carmelo. It's about the family who dared to stand and demand justice in a return and receive ugliness that racism in this country still breeds.
Racism still breeds, because they're just demanding justice. You'd think it was their son that got fucking killed.
We will never ask the oppressor for permission to liberate our people. We will not ask for permission to stand up for the rights of our children.
I know this is a tragic situation, but the unintentional comedy factor here is unbelievable. And then he decides he's going to try to blame the school district.
But Frisco ISD has notified of their intent to expel Carmelo Anthony from school 1 month before his high school graduation. That just shows me that Frisco ISD is trying to push off the blame. And what I have not heard the media say, as many media outlets have asked us what went on, I'm trying to find how many of y'all have asked the superintendent or one single board of trustee, why didn't you cancel or postpone? With weather in that magnitude, you couldn't have a track meet in rain or thunderstorm or clouds. Y'all are the media. Ask your journalists, your weather journalists, how the weather was that day and that time. Y'all do that research.
There, see, so it's the school district's fault that this kid got stabbed, because they should have canceled the whole event over a little rain shower. And how dare them expel him? When I was in high school, I got suspended for 8 days with a recommendation for expulsion because I said one of my principals sucks. That was all it took. And even if this kid does get off on the self-defense claim, simply bringing a knife onto school property is an expellable offense. And then he starts saying how it's been unfair, all the criticism for his bond getting reduced from $1 million to $250,000. And he rats off the names of 4 or 5 police officers that were charged with unlawful killings, and how their bonds were only $200,000, $150,000.
Please help me understand. Make this make sense. It's consistency. It's consistent with practice.
So why did his bond have to be $1 million? Oh, well, let's see, dipshit. Maybe it's because they're cops, and cops tend to get preferential treatment in the justice system. A better comparison to make would be with another teenage civilian who's accused of wrongfully killing someone.
He should be afforded the same rights that Kyle Rittenhouse had. Daniel Pena.
Kyle Rittenhouse? What was his bond? Oh, $2 million?
I guess that means you need to shut the fuck up.
And Daniel Pena? I think he means Daniel Penny, because if his name had been Daniel Pena, he probably would have never even been charged.
Who have claimed whatever their defense was. He should be afforded the same right. Nobody in the public media has one video camera, but we got the video of Kyle Rittenhouse with an AK-47 shooting 3 people in the back. We got that. And he raised more than $2 million publicly, and nobody says anything.
See, if you're going to make the point about how all these other people had lower bonds, and then you actually mention the fact that Kyle Rittenhouse had a $2 million bond, it kind of makes you look fucking stupid. Oh, and this AK and shooting people in the back? Holy fuck, what videotape did you watch? And plus he raised $2 million publicly and nobody said anything. Yeah, that's not quite how I remember that part either. And then after all this belly aching over people making this story political, what does he do?
While the current occupant sits at 1600 Pennsylvania, black people in America don't have to pull the race card. It's what we live as a reality every day.
This entire press conference has been one giant race card getting pulled. I think he might be a little fuzzy on what that expression means. But for all the dumb shit this guy said, and there was plenty, I think this right here might be the absolute dumbest.
I'm a registered Democrat. Proud.
And normally I'd say that this kid is completely fucked. He's claiming self-defense, but he provoked the situation and escalated the situation to deadly force after simply being shoved, both of which are kind of important elements in a self-defense claim. But shit, nowadays, who knows? I guess it'll really all depend on which judge this kid ends up getting. We'll see. And if this kid does end up getting off on a self-defense claim, are we going to see people on the right burning down cities and looting and killing random people?
I don't think so.
Because for all the people like CNN that keep on trying to prop up that dead narrative, fewer and fewer people are buying into it.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
And while America's roots are soaked in bloodshed, violence in the country today is mostly from right-wing extremism. From Oklahoma City to Charlottesville to January 6th. there is simply no equivalent on the left.
And that's all they've got for examples. Oklahoma City, Charlottesville, and January 6th. 3 events where the feds were fucking balls deep in all of them. There's simply no equivalent on the left. Yeah, okay.
Beheaded Donald Trump, are you calling for his death?
I am, yes. I believe it's time that the people straight cut his fucking head off.
I believe that the minute that Donald Trump decided to start ignoring judicial orders, he gave up the right to be the rightful president of the United States. He's an enemy of the nation, and yes, I'd like to see him hung by his feet by a lamppost.
You wouldn't necessarily call for violence, would you? Are you supporting violence?
I think there's the people in power, that's all they're going to listen to at this point. I feel like we've done the rallies, we've done all these things, and they don't listen, and that was something that finally got people to listen.
So yeah, if this kid does end up getting off and there's some kind of violence in response, guaranteed it's gonna be some kind of bullshit Patriot Front Fed operation. And then in other news, for all the well-deserved griping about how Bondi hasn't really done shit and 0 arrests have been made, well, that's not quite true. A state rep in Massachusetts got arrested for fraud because as the head of a Cape Cod Home Builders Association, he was siphoning off money to himself to pay off his bills and debts. And they've recommended charges against Letitia James for mortgage fraud, but this is just some low-hanging fruit, and as far as I'm concerned, they better just be getting fucking warmed up. Although at this point, I highly doubt it. I've basically lost all hope and faith in her, as her DOJ continues to fight to keep sealed an FBI informant's testimony. Testimony about the existence and name of John Doe number 2, and instead she puts out this lovely little tweet marking the anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing and on this solemn...
Oh, fucking hell.
But for all that talk about transparency and bringing the American people the truth, they're still fighting to keep the truth about what happened 30 years ago in Oklahoma City buried.
You sit on a throne of lies.
And then there was also the story about Trump allegedly rejecting the Israeli plan to go ahead and start attacking Iran.
That's a good thing.
I'm sure Lindsey Graham was one of the people not too pleased about that. Every time I see a picture or video of this asshole, I can't help but picture him wearing a clown suit, stained in children's blood. That guy's always just completely giving me the fucking creeps. And since this story broke, there's been some rumors circulating that Netanyahu might be planning on going ahead and attacking him unilaterally, which actually wouldn't be all that surprising considering how badly Netanyahu needs this war to continue. Because much like Zelensky, once the war is over, most likely so is he. And right about now, I bet people like Bibi are hoping for some kind of event to happen.
Snap, snap, grin, grin, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more.
Something to give people like Lindsey Graham ammo to say, look, Mr. President, at what the Iranians did to us. We have to act. You know, some kind of catalyzing Pearl Harbor type of event.
Look, are you trying to insinuate something?
No. Yes.
I guess the only real question is, would something like that work? Again. Well, we may be about to find out. And lastly, when I woke up this morning and heard the news that the Pope had died overnight, I immediately was thinking, holy shit, right after we met with Vance. And I already knew that it was going to be trending. Hashtag Vance killed the Pope.
I don't think he did it. But you know what? Even if he did do it, you know what I mean?
As you might be able to tell, I wasn't exactly a fan. And if you're the type of person that believes in omens, I'd say this is a pretty fucking big one. Sláinte.
All I have in this world is my thoughts and my words, and I don't break them for no one. You understand? So say good night to the bad guy. 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 night. So say good night. So say good night to the bad guy. I told you. Don't fuck with me. 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 You stupid fuck. Look at you now. Look at you now.